Tree Country 1330 WTRE. Good morning, 732. And good morning, Mayor Marsh.
Good morning, Emily. Happy Thursday, everyone, in WTRE country.
Yeah, we've fully moved into spring with spring weather.
We're here. Happy spring.
Had some storms overnight.
Once again, we've been very fortunate, and we've made it through without. There's a couple more concerns, today, tomorrow, so just be slightly weather aware, but it looks like we should be fine. And we'll wait and see what happens.
That's right. What's going on across the city this last week?
Well, last week when we were here, we had planned on the mock car crash out at the school in prep for prom season, the distracted driving.
Yes.
And that went incredibly well. And the kids really, really, I think, took a lot away from it. You hate to say the word enjoyed, right?
Right.
But I think they really did take a lot away from it. And it was interesting to sort of watch them come out, and they're all chitty chat and excited and interested, but also they're outside and it's the middle of the school day, so you've got some excitement from that. But then when it was over, it was a lot more somber and it was a lot quieter, and the second part of the inside presentation was a lot more attentive. So that probably signifies an impact was made, but it was great because Lifeline was able to come in and they landed the helicopter and got to show everybody how that works as well. So overall, a really, really great event. Appreciate all of the partners that helped put it together and that participated, because it is it's interesting to watch the teams work, right? They do that all the time, unfortunately, but you don't ever get to kind of stand there and watch it all in good view without really the I guess emotional component of it's real people.
Right.
So this was a good opportunity to sort of watch them work and learn about it too.
I always find it intriguing to watch them, and I haven't had to be right in there, but to watch them work a scene is just truly amazing to me, because it's they know what they're doing, but even not having to talk to each other as much, they just go through the process. So
yeah, so it was
Very
a really
good.
great event. That's the first one in our summer cookout series. So that will get us kicked off, and then we've got another one coming up here in May. I think it's next week. I should have looked that up before we went on the air, but it's available on our website. But yeah, come out and participate in those this summer. That's always a lot of fun, and it's one of the summer series that we always look forward to doing.
it's a good time, a great time to interact with everyone and get, even your kids, bring them, let them get comfortable
Sure.
with police officers, firemen, all of that stuff.
Yeah, we always do kind of a light dinner, and you can play the games and check out the equipment and chat and visit with neighbors, which is always a lot of fun too. So always looking forward to those. And then we've got a couple more this summer that we're going to be doing as well, leading up to August, which is the big one out at North Park. So we're already in the planning phases for that.
Well, spring is fully in gear here in Greensburg. Lots going on. We've got construction that continues. I ask you to please get the intersection opened up.
I think we're within, Broadway and Washington. I think we're probably within 2 weeks of that. That would put us right on schedule. Shooty's been doing a great job of keeping everything on schedule and moving. When I left here last week, I received a message that they had found one of the old cisterns from when we fought fires with cisterns under the square. So they found one of those, and we're able to, pump all the water out of it. And it was about 15 feet deep, laid stone, which is really kind of cool. And they were able to find a couple pieces of wooden water line.
Oh, wow.
That was in them. So those are very rare to find, and they were in really good shape. So the water company took those and are working to dry them out and try not to get them to disintegrate after they've been in some water for, 100 plus years. And so that's kind of a cool find that once we get them stabilized, I guess you could say, we'll probably put those on display at the water plant. They've got some old meters, and that's kind of a cool thing to come across.
How big are those?
So they are about a 4x4 with about a 2-inch hole, inch and a half hole drilled all the way through them longwise, and they're 10 feet long. So they're pretty good size. And as we were draining it out, Rick Emsweller, who was on city council, firefighter, been around a long time in different capacities with the city, was showing me at the Power of the Past last year. He had some. They were shorter than that, though. And so I'll have to give him a call and ask him about coming over and taking a look at them once we get them stabilized out a little bit.
What a very cool find, though.
Yeah, and pretty rare, especially to find one that was in two of them that were in that good of shape. Now, again, we'll see how it works when they dry out. But we also found a coupler, hand-carved wood coupler for them, which is pretty cool. That's a very tiny, small piece to be that old and still be intact. A lot of times, of course, we're digging these out of the ground. We haven't found any, I don't believe, in the last 30 plus years. No, neither of our former superintendents had talked to me about that. But when you're digging that kind of stuff up, usually those small pieces disintegrate or aren't there in general. And so because it was in the water, it's still intact. So we were able to get that back.
Oh, I'm intrigued for that to get dried out and see the end result.
It'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, a little bit of history down there. But as always, out with the old, in with the new kind of stuff. So new storm sewers are going in, and we're working to get the intersection reopened and make sure that we can get on east and be done before the fall festival. As always, I continue to remind everybody all the time, everybody's still open. All the businesses are still open. Parking's been relatively available. I've been down there a few times for stuff at the courthouse or on the square, and there's still some parking available. So you might have to not park right where you're going, but still plenty of room. Our little turnaround on Broadway is working well, so we're very happy with the progress. And then when we're all finished and done, it'll be great because I know we've been getting a lot of questions about Broadway sort of there in front of the branch. The pavement's failing pretty substantially, so that is on the repavement schedule as well, but it will be done as a part of the project. So we will have made significant improvements on all sides of the square at that point.
It's really looking nice. I mean, as you watch, as each side has kind of been done, and you've got the alley has been redone in 1882, and it looks really good. So
yeah, we're very happy with it.
I'll just be glad when it's open. That's all. Until yesterday, it just did not affect me, and then 3 times yesterday, and I was like, dang it.
Just kept turning left.
It happens.
That's right.
Tell us, Veterans Parkway, I was out there yesterday, and houses continue to pop up.
Yeah, that's actually been making really good progress. I haven't been out there in probably over a week, but I think we're on, the model home is open, and I think house number 3 or 4 is up and under roof. So they are making really good progress. I've been told that they have sold additional lots to end users, end buyers as well. So that's exciting to hear. And their goal for 2025 was to sell 20 lots. And the last number that I had heard was they had surpassed that already for the year. So if you're interested in that, you might want to take a look at it. They are working on putting in the last section of the street. So again, sub base is down, curbs are in, drains are in, water and sewer infrastructure is in place. So now they're getting ready for pavement, and then that will take them all the way back to the end. And they're just marching right along. So
it's quick, and I go that way probably once a week. And when I say pop up, I feel like literally a house will just pop up overnight. There it is.
They definitely get them framed in quick. Of course, as everyone knows, the small stuff takes the longest, right? Finishing drywalls and all the electrical and plumbing, but it is kind of amazing to watch them put it together as quickly as they do. And, as we've been talking about all along, this whole project is really oriented towards getting some, single family, middle income homes available in our community that allow people to either move to the community or relocate within the community, which then the intention is that opens up another residential unit, whether that be a rental or ownership. And that's also needed both in the market that falls below and above that neighborhood. So we're excited to see. I don't know exactly, they are technically private sales to private. It's between private companies and private individuals. So there's not really any data or metrics on where people are moving from or how, but more rooftops equals more people, which equals more opportunity for growth in business development that we get asked about so frequently of, when are we getting this, when are we getting that? And a lot of times it is rooted in household number, and then the number of people, and then the average income. So those are the 3 metrics and factors that are considered when we look at different economic development opportunities.
I've had lots of questions in the last week because Columbus is getting Olive Garden. We've touched on this already, I know, but that plays a large part in those kind of businesses that we're able to draw.
Yeah, if you look, there's a couple other factors in that too. So, I mean, obviously Columbus is a lot bigger than us, right? 55,000, 75, 80,000 in the county. We're 12.5 and 12.5, so we're 25,000. That is a big difference. The average income level is higher in Bartholomew County. And then when you look at the number of housing units, substantially higher, obviously, to fit a higher population, but the population number matters. And then in the case like Olive Garden or one of the franchises, traffic counts within so many miles or feet is a metric as well. So I don't know exactly where they're building the Olive Garden in Columbus, but if I had to bet $1, I'd say it's somewhere near 65. And the I-65 corridor is much heavier vehicle count than the I-74 corridor. I-74 is a blessing in that it does provide us with a number that we would not have if we were not on the interstate. So when we are talking to businesses and different development opportunities, we're sure to focus on that because it is a driver. But then if you look at like the bypass is, State Road 3 is the second largest one. So that's why you see companies, we'll use Culver's for an example, right? They chose to be in that area instead of maybe on Veterans Way because of the traffic count. So that all really plays into it's not just as easy as, well, why don't we go get an Olive Garden? Well, Olive Garden is very selective about where they go. I had it on very, very good authority that Columbus had been actively recruiting Olive Garden for over a decade.
Really?
And that they finally were able to make the numbers and metrics work. So while everyone would like an Olive Garden, I remain optimistic that we can do anything we set our minds to. I think that one's going to be a big lift.
Not yet.
Just not yet.
Dreams do come true.
That is, if that's the dream, then maybe one day. But when we look at why do this, why do that, why look at investing in housing, why look at investing in infrastructure and roads and quality of place, it's because people want to live where there's a quality of place, and if people want to live there, then there's more desire to develop and build commercial retail, and that's what we're trying to do. So the folks that are asking about why don't we have this, why don't we have that, they should be championing these kinds of investments. They should be looking at what we can do to better that, and that's the exciting part about what we get to do every day.
We'll work for that Olive Garden. It's coming.
That's right.
Oh, you were talking about State Road 3. Are you part of this safety meeting that's coming up with State Road 3 as they're assessing that?
Yes. So we are partners in that along with Decatur County, Rushville, Rush County, and then Henry County. And it is an analysis that is being done technically on paper by the city of Rushville. But they were able to receive about $1 million worth of federal money to study State Road 3's safety from I-70 to 421. So that would be there sort of by the movie theaters, right? And this is the first step. It's in the Safe Streets for All category, which is the same grant process that we used for our traffic light preemption devices and in-car technology. But theirs was focused on the State Road 3 corridor. The idea is that it gets them to a point to where then, because State Road 3 is INDOT's territory, they can go to INDOT and show them, hey, these are some things that would make State Road 3 safer, infrastructure, or down to maybe something as small as some additional signage, relining, realignments, etc. So they have been working pretty diligently on that. There is an open house for that is happening next. I don't know that it's next week. I'll find that before the end of the chat here. But the State Road 3 safety plan is well underway, and it's a great regional partnership. It may and may not result in something that you can actually visibly see, but if you travel State Road 3, if you have an opinion on that, then there's some really great opportunities coming up to kind of weigh in on that. It's not a reconstruction conversation. I mean, if that's something that you have an opinion of, they would be happy to take that. But the main priority is just sort of better understanding where it is right now.
It's just there's been, I think, several accidents over the years and a lot of safety concern through that area, especially that connects there from Rushville to Greensburg. So it'll be an interesting meeting, I think. Interesting statistics to find out and ideas. I believe that the fire chief talked about a little bit about that last week and talking about some turnoff lanes and those kind of things that they could look to improve somewhat. So
Yeah, and so that open house is next Thursday, so 1 week from today. It's between 4 and 7. It's at City Hall, so you can come on over. The consultants and folks will be there to chat about that. That's actually the same night as our community cookout, so come over there at 4, and then we'll see you at the cookout at 8. But you can, I'm sorry, at 6 to 8 on the cookout. But there'll be an opportunity to weigh in. It's not, again, we're not rolling out some big grand plan. It's just about the safety concerns that people have, and it's open to anyone and everyone. It does not it starts at 4, but it's not a sit-down presentation, so it's an open house style. So feel free to come anytime that your schedule allows.
Very good. We've talked and hit on some stuff with state in the last couple weeks. I know it's kind of been quiet. Legislations or the session's coming to an end, or did it end? It ended, didn't it?
Yep,
yes.
They're done. The Mayor's Institute, which is our spring 2-day kind of gathering, was Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. So I was in Indy for that, and there was a lot of discussion about Senate Bill 1, and then which is the property tax bill, and then also about the state's budget. There was a lot of programs that were that had dedicated line items that didn't get dedicated line items. That doesn't necessarily mean that the program isn't in existence anymore or that it won't be funded through an agency's budget. But a prime example of that is Main Street, Indiana, that oversees all of the Main Street organizations as a part of the federal program. Had a line item in the budget specifically under Okra for years and years, and that was just removed. And so now Main Street, Indiana is not funded, which is a little bit concerning. Obviously, we have a great Main Street organization here that does great work for us, but this is a big change of course. And then another prime example of that is the JAG program, which is the Jobs for America's Graduates, which just rolled out here last year and has been widely adopted across the state, but even enthusiastically supported at the local level, with both the Greensburg and Decatur County school systems coming on board, hiring staff, really making great impacts. And the students have really shown a great interest in it. Again, an item that has had a line item for years is now just rolled into the general fund budget, if you will. So those are some of the just hyper local level examples of concerns from that was talked about and have been talked about at the local level. The SB1 conversation is still a little bit in limbo as far as discussions about how the increased push for income tax. We talked about that a couple months ago on this very program about, this property tax relief bill really has an income tax increase in it as well that everybody seemed to not be talking about, but we were sure to talk about here, and that, it sounds good, but there's also the other part of this. And there's a lot of confusion and a lot of maybe contradiction as to how that works and how that's rolled out. So there's probably language coming to work on that for next year as far as the income tax component is concerned. It's not going away because that was what they said was going to replace the revenue from the property tax relief. So as property tax relief, income tax increase is sort of the way that it was structured. So that is going to be a big conversation. All of a sudden, commercial properties, so you think about like the Walmarts and the other commercial industrial facilities, those are going to see tax increases because of the way that the structure was redone. People that apartment complex and multifamily owners are going to see property taxes decrease, and all of that cost burden has to be kind of shifted around. So over the next couple of years, it's going to be a very probably kind of turbulent ride on what property taxes look like. I'd say there's a very good chance that most people won't see theirs actually decrease just because of the way that it's $300 or 10% of this and it's that, but AVs are up and there's AV caps, but they're not zero, and rates might stay the same or rates might have to change in order to meet obligations. So there's a lot going on in that space. All of that then affects the projections for revenues, right? So we work on a 5 to 10 year capital improvement plan over the next 2 to 3 years is our short-term view, 3 to 6 is our midterm view, and then 6 to 10 is our long-term view. And when you have this many changes happening all at one time, and a lot of uncertainty as to how it actually works. The legislation was 350 pages of complicated tax reform, so it takes a minute to digest that. If A and B say this, but then double Z says, "Hey, this is this." Well, that might contradict B, and that then says something about how F works, and it takes a minute to get through. So we're still working through it. We'll take a look and see what we come up with. But lots and lots of conversation and frustration with the process.
That frustration shared across most of the mayors at that conference?
I think it would be fair to say, in my training, it's never talking affirmatives, right, of all and most, and definitely, but I think most definitely all mayors have that frustration.
So it'll be some time before you guys are actually able to see what that financial impact is going to be.
Well, we have to start building our. We've already started our budget process for 2026, right? So we kind of need to know now. We most definitely need to know by July 1st. And our financial firm, Reedy Financial Group's really great about working with us on that process. So yeah, we'll probably just have to build it on projections, which is typically much more conservative than reality, just because you don't want it to be the other way. But it might be 2 years before we actually fully understand how this is going to work, because if the income tax component will have an impact on that, in that because it was sold as we will decrease property taxes but then increase income tax and as a revenue offset, then that will matter. A piece of this puzzle is that the Department of Local Government Finance and DOR, Department of Revenue, can't tell you. Even though we know where people live in order to vote, right? You have to live in the city of Greensburg to vote in the city of Greensburg elections. They do not collect income data based on where you live, only on at the county level. So all of a sudden now we are working there. The legislation carves out cities and towns to do their own income tax levies, etc. But that data is not available because it's not collected that way. So all we can do is base it on projections, which is fine. But then, when is DOR and DLGF going to provide that data? And they go, we don't know yet. So that's a bit of the problem.
So sit and wait.
Without sitting.
Without sitting.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's a bit of the problem.
Yeah. Anything else come out of legislation not that that's not enough to be concerned about, but
yeah, generally after that, it was a pretty decent session for municipalities. There was a lot of discussion about that. There's a lot of positive too, right? It's not just 2 days of grumpiness, but a lot of positives as well. They're just not nearly as impactful. Some of them are just smaller operational things. A couple of the priority legislation pieces didn't pass, so now it's why didn't it pass? What can be made better for next year as that works through the process. But the generally those are the big topics that we were very, very attentive to. A lot of the other stuff is sort of not terribly interesting or relevant. It's just more about how we go about doing our jobs. Some reporting requirements that are made easier. Some, there's the requirement to have all videos, all meetings that are held in the chambers live streamed and recorded by July 1st. We've been doing that since we've been back in our building. So we're 2 years ahead of that process. Some people haven't even started that process. And then some cleanup language as far as, if there's human error, then that's not a big deal. You don't have to go back and redo the meeting. It just has to be reflected, et cetera, et cetera. So just some, air quotes, boring things like that. Some notice requirements, et cetera.
All right. Looking at moving into, we're in May. Today's it. Happy May. But that kind of changes the meeting schedule, though, for the city as we move into that next week, right?
Yeah, we're gonna change it up a little bit. We've got next Tuesday is our first round of meetings, so we're gonna get started with the Water Board at 5:30, Airport Board at 6, Redevelopment Commission at 6:30, BZA at 7:15, and then Plan Commission or BZA at 7:15, Plan Commission at 7:30. So we are able to get everybody kind of in. It'll help our board members and the people that are our secretarial note takers, our friends in the media that attend. So we should, we're going to try it out and go with it. I think we've got them all too. I think we've got all the meetings that are a go. We believe that this will help us with management of our team's time and resources, while also being able to get through everything we need to do. We have the ability to start late. We just can't start early. So everybody is upon the conclusion of, it's at 7:15 or upon the conclusion of the prior meeting. So we've got that flexibility. But then, of course, Board of Works and City Council are remaining on the second Tuesday. So that'll be May 13th. And we'll have the normal times for that, 5:30 and 6:30.
All right. Anything else coming up in this next couple of weeks?
I think generally that's about it, really. You know, there's a lot going on, but it's just springtime, road construction projects, that open house, and the community cookout next Thursday. We'll cover that again next week. But, you know, the Decatur County Hospital fundraiser gala is tomorrow night, which is always great to see everybody out supporting the local healthcare network and provider. And hopefully we'll see you out there. And if we don't, we'll see you over the weekend somewhere.
Very good. Heavy Trash Week coming up later in May, I believe.
Yes.
So start preparing now.
Yeah, I will have all of the details on that next week. I'll bring the sheet that tells us what we can and can't include. But I think that's the week of the 12th.
I think so.
I'll have to double check that. But they the same kind of things. We're only doing one of those this week or this year. So that will be here in May. And, you know, the big ones are no construction debris, no electronics, no hazardous waste, those kinds of things. And, you know, it never fails to rain during Heavy Trash Week. So be mindful of what you put stuff in. If you put it in a cardboard box, if it's going to rain, just set it out the next morning. Please don't start setting stuff out yet. We usually ask for no more than 2 days before your trash day. And but we'll cover all of that next week as well.
Very good. Well, we look forward to that, and maybe some rain today, so stay dry while you're out and about.
That's right. Everybody be weather aware.
That's right. Next couple days could be a little shaky, Randy says. So
there you go.
All right. Up next, we've got Community Matters coming up on Tree Country 1330.